Hey everyone, welcome to Transformation Time. Thanks for coming on. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have Jeremy on. He's going to tell us about his transformation time. So I think it'll be a lot of fun to hear because it will be about his personal development journey. And I think you guys will really like it because I think this is considered like he will be much newer onto his personal development, or not newer, but I mean like he's done big changes now in his life, and so it'll be really awesome to hear his personal development story. So he should be on in a minute because he just messaged me. Oh, there he is. Let me just invite him. There we go.
Hey, hey Danny, how are you? Oh, I don't hear you.
I have to
Can
take your
you hear
headphones
me
off.
now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
And the quality's all right? Maybe these headphones are
Yep.
just weird. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Sweet. How's it
Headphones.
going?
Good. How are you? My head's cut off. Where are we going? Okay, let me go a little bit back further. There
Good,
we go.
good. Yeah, good, busy, but doing well. Life is good.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming on. This will be fun, and I think it'll be nice. This will be nice to hear because you've had a lot of changes happen this year. So I
Yes.
think this will be a fun conversation because your personal development journey, I feel like you're in it, I think, like you're still going through it. So I think it's also nice to hear it when you're in the middle of going through it because I think as viewers, like they may understand you or expect, sorry, one sec, my dog. Sorry about that. But yeah, I feel like, maybe you can relate better to them just because you're so close, I feel like, and still kind of in it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think I get that a lot too. Like people can resonate with what's going on with us because a lot of us were trying to scale up our real estate portfolio. And I mean, a lot of people out there that are teaching real estate, they've been doing it for 20 plus years or maybe even 5 plus years. So a lot of us new people just trying to get in, it's hard to relate. And their challenges are much different than what a newer investor is going to face. So for sure, definitely.
100%. So let's start off with just tell us a little bit about yourself and like where you are at in your real estate journey.
Yeah, so I started real estate roughly 18 months ago. And to date, we've purchased 13 properties. We've got a couple other properties under contract right now. A lot of the stuff that we have is small multifamily, so anything from single family up to 5 units. But now we're trying to transition into larger buildings, so 12 units and up. We've got something under contract right now, and then I'm also trying to do a little bit more flips this year to have some more active income coming in. Um, and then, yeah, basically 8 months into our real estate journey, I quit my day job and just really jumped full into real estate. And that was when COVID was happening. So it was a little scary. But I just went for it. I really trust myself and I knew like, hey, this makes a lot of sense. There's a lot more money to be made doing this versus, working for an hourly wage and just grinding it out every single day. So yeah, that's basically where we're at.
That's awesome. And so what was your day job?
So I was a licensed electrician. I actually got licensed and then I quit the next week. So I was because I
Use
wanted to
you. I
quit
use
sooner.
you and I'm done with you.
Yeah, yeah, I wanted to quit sooner, but I was like, I've been doing this. I have to get it done. At least then I have something to fall back on. But yeah, so I was a licensed electrician.
Well, that's awesome. So you can use your skills that you have to be a part of the renovations. Is in what you do, are you involved in the renovations instead of the work, or are you more at a management level? Like how are you
Absolutely.
structured?
Yeah, I know a lot of people say when you're trying to scale a real estate portfolio, you can't be in the business. But for me and Taylor, I've been in the business since day one. I've been on every single renovation site. I've we last year we did 11 units. We renovated 11 units last year. And these are top high-end quality units. They're not just lipstick, paint, flooring. Like we're doing everything to them. And I'm there every single day working on them. I've also got a couple of guys that work for me as well as my parents help me out as well. But yeah, I'm actively involved in every single renovation that we do.
That's awesome. But I mean, in the sense of like you're actually doing the work too with your team, or
Absolutely, yes. I'm laying floor at 10:30 at night. I'm working on Sundays. Yes, I'm on site doing whatever I can to make the job move faster.
oh, that's
I'm pretty
awesome.
stubborn and I like things to move really quickly. So,
Oh
for
my God,
example,
so you and
we
your
did an
husband would
entire
probably get
house.
along very well.
Yeah, we did a 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom house. We ripped everything back to the studs, and did that in 7 weeks. So,
Oh
and I'm
wow.
talking like the highest of quality renovations.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and it's nice with our team because we can all do everything, right? We don't need to call in like a tile layer. We don't need to call in a kitchen person. Like we can do it all. So it's really nice in that sense.
That's awesome. So do you work on one project at a time, or are you still able to, work on many houses at once if you need to, or units? I don't know. It depends on how, I guess, how
Yeah,
you.
we had at one point last year, we had 5 units under renovation. That was the most that we really had, and that when the 5 units were going on, like two of them were almost done. Typically, we have 2 units on the go at a time. I would say right now everything's rented. It's really weird. I'm actually helping another investor. I've been helping another investor out for the past month just on her fourplex because yeah, it's for the longest time we were like spending like $10,000, $15,000 a week just renovating like multiple properties. So it was nice to just take a couple weeks off and be like, okay, we actually are making some sort of money in this business. So
That's awesome. And with your business, are you fully the active partner in it, or, yeah?
yeah, yeah, we're the active partner.
Okay, that's nice. So then, also then you have all your you have like all your properties are with partnerships then, right?
No, we, Taylor and myself, we own 81% of our portfolio, and then the other 19% is with joint venture partners. So
Okay, so it's probably then something recent that you got into the joint venture partners?
yeah, it's something we jumped into and that we've actually jumped back out of. So all of our joint venture partners are awesome. However, Taylor and I like to do things much different than anybody else does. We we really strive to provide like the absolute best property management, the best quality buildings that we can. And oftentimes with partners that aren't active in the business, they typically just want to see the best sort of returns. They're not really looking they may not be looking at the long-term gain of actually having maybe like a properly renovated unit, whereas that's where we like to go. So yeah, we've actually right now the only thing that we're going to do joint venture partners with is anything 12 units and up. Anything under that we're just going to do privately to
Oh, that's
scale up
awesome.
that way.
So then you would be bringing in your own capital and then getting just private lends or mortgages or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, and we're doing a lot more vendor takebacks now. So when the seller's providing financing for us, we just locked one up a couple weeks ago, 96% loan to, or 96% vendor take back on it. So it's really very little money out of our pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then actually with those same sellers, they've got 9 other properties that we're looking to acquire as well from them. And they want to do vendor take backs as well on every single one of them. They've owned them for like 25 years. And they're
Yeah.
just looking at some sort of retirement income. So it actually works out great. And that's really what I'm just like focusing on now. I'm not even really looking at finding more off market deals. I'm just trying to work with these sellers to make sure that we can acquire their entire portfolio.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's
Thanks.
huge.
Yeah, no, I'm pumped.
You're definitely busy for this year then.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like one of the things this year we want to do is travel a little more. So I'm trying to offload as much as I can now to make sure that our business is positioned, if we go away for a couple months, that it can maintain itself.
Live, yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say were your skills that you had coming into real estate, getting into the journey of being an entrepreneur and getting into real estate?
Yeah, I was really like I'm really good at networking with people. So whenever we needed private money for renovations, it was pretty easy to come up with that. I also really like we found that we're pretty good at finding off market deals and talking to sellers and relating our vision with them and a lot like things like that. We're also we've got a really good team of people that can help us renovate properties. Like we can get in and out of units very quickly, much faster than most people can, which actually allows us to pay a little bit more if we need to be competitive with our purchase price, especially when you're looking at like MLS listings, things like that. But I would
Hmm.
say, yeah, that was definitely one of the biggest things.
Anything else that you feel like were skills that you had that helped you, get into this?
Well, I don't know if it was really be a skill, but definitely like trusting ourselves because a lot of times it was definitely really scary, like taking on big projects. And a lot of times we're super leveraged, right? When we've got a bunch of renovations on the go, we've got a lot of private money that we're paying interest on. That's definitely something like a lot of people can't stomach and can walk away from. There's been multiple projects where we've been like, it would be nice if we could just walk away from this, but our realtor was always like pushing us like, you guys can do this, you guys have proven that you can do this, and that really helped us along the way as well.
That's awesome. So you would say then your realtor was that helped to kind of just push you to move forward more?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Him and I have conversations like almost weekly about what's the next game plan. And a lot of times when projects are done, I'm like, this is nice. We don't have like that much obligations, right? We don't have to come up with more down payments or more private money to fund these renovations. And then he's always helping us get that bigger picture of like, guys, like this is your goal, and you want to obviously achieve this sooner than later, especially with the way the market's going. It's probably in many people's best interest to get in as soon as possible because especially with what's happening with inflation and all these markets are super hot, prices are only going to go up, and it's definitely a good time to be investing in real estate. So it's nice to have him on our team to push
Mhm.
us.
Yeah, 100% agree. That's so true. People need to get in now because if the prices are only going up with all the, yeah, exactly, all this money printing,
It's
all it
crazy,
does,
yeah. Sorry.
all it does is bring up the value of value of just anything, materials. That everything's gonna start getting super expensive soon once they start actually showing the inflation, because I think they're trying to hide it right now.
Yeah, yeah. And like even in our market, we've seen, duplexes go up in the past year $100,000, which is
Yeah,
insane, right?
crazy.
I mean, a lot of people this year are going to become like multimillionaires with not even having that much net worth to start 2021. And that just goes to show that people who don't have hard assets and who aren't, actively investing their money in something, they're going to be left behind. So it's good to
I
be.
100% agree. So did you have did you have a pivotal point that you feel like a story that kind of like just made you kind of shift and look into real estate?
Yeah, when I lived out west for like 6 months back when I was 18 years old. The guy that I was living with out there was a serial real estate entrepreneur. And so he really influenced me. But then, I took a couple of years later, I had ended up moving back home, and I was like halfway through my apprenticeship with electrical, and I thought, this I can't do this the rest of my life. So then I kind of had that flashback of what him and I were talking about when I was living out there. And this guy was 21, and he had like, I remember the one night he showed me he had like $500,000 in his bank account, and I was like, man, that is so freaking cool. Like he was just living the dream life that a lot of us would strive, I think, to be in. And
Mhm.
so I ended up going to OREC 2019. That was an event that Matt McKeever and Jeff Weibel put on, and that was a really big pivoting point for me. And then from there, I just took off running. I was like, I gotta do this. And like I
Yeah,
said earlier, I'm stubborn where I want results like right away, and I'm gonna do like whatever it takes to get there. I think anybody that knows me, that's surrounded by me daily, can vouch for that. I don't like to make excuses. I like to just do things, and so.
That's awesome, which I think, for example, is a very big skill to have is to not make excuses and understand what excuses are actually, because I think a lot of people make excuses and don't realize what they're saying to themselves is an excuse, right? So I think that is a really important thing that you're saying is that just it's not a negotiable. Like if you really want something, you go for it and don't look back. Don't make the excuse and just figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah, I did a coaching call a couple days ago with some guys from Toronto, and they've got a couple rental properties, but they were scared to buy their next rental property because they were scared of running out of money. And I just said to them, I said, okay, look, you understand, and they were telling me, they understand eventually they're going to have to start borrowing private money if they want to excel their real estate portfolio quickly. And I said, guys, look, like whatever you're doing in any sort of entrepreneurship, you're going to have some sort of barriers, and you just got to figure out, like, if I'm going to run out of money, well, then I either need to slow myself down, or I need to, figure out a better way to either come up with this money or find joint venture partners to bring the money for me, right? You can't just sit on your ass all day and think, well, I'm not going to get into real estate because if I do this one deal, I can't do a second deal. Well, you're never going to get to your second deal if you don't do your first deal. So you got to do the first one to get to the second one.
100%,
So
yeah. And that is, I feel like, I don't know, is this their first time doing like buying a property?
no, they both had one property, and they were looking at both getting their second property, but they didn't want to buy their second property because they were scared of buying their third property. And I thought to myself, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like,
Way
this is
too ahead.
outrageous. I told them, anytime that we, like Taylor and I were buying properties, we took it one property at a time. If it was a good deal, we were buying that property. I don't care if we were going to run out of all of our money to buy the next one. I'm going to buy that property. And once I get it, then I'm going to figure out, okay, I clearly need money for the down payment for the next one. So I need to, can I refinance a property? Can I borrow private money? What's the game plan here? But I'm not thinking like 15 steps ahead to take my first step.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Although I'm assuming, I mean, when you do your analysis of the property, you technically are, looking into the future, but obviously with your experience, you probably I think you probably already start strategizing, but don't get caught up in the stress, I think is what more, you don't get caught up in the stress of like the what ifs. I feel like the what ifs are what stop people a lot. What do you think?
Yeah. They're always thinking like worst case scenario, but I always try and look at things like what's likely going to happen and what's my best case scenario. And if I don't do this, what am I actually going to miss out on? So
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's funny though. Actually, you think then the opposite of me because when I do my property analysis, I do worst case scenarios so that it's like it only can get better from there.
yeah. I guess it's a good way to look at it. But for us, like we're so young, and I know worst case scenario, I'll hold on to these properties for 20 years. They all cash flow really good as is. So worst case scenario is probably just going to break even for me, and I'll just hold on to it. But best case scenario, rents continue to go up. The values of these properties continue to go up. I can continue to keep refinancing this property every 3 years and buy another property with it. That's gold. Like that's you hitting a gold mine when you buy things like this.
100%. Actually, a good point that you make because I was talking in both burrs and flips, but it's true when you're talking about burrs, it is a different thing because you can't really say you're losing ever money because it just if you make a mistake, you have time to fix it. Time is what fixes it. It's like else the house will increase, you'll start cash flowing soon if you're breaking even, whatever it is. So yeah, that's very true. Um,
Yeah, and like we have properties that last year cash flowed $600 and now they're cash flowing $1,000. Like this is what people don't understand is a lot of us were looking at these people that have been doing it for 10 years and we're thinking like, for example, Brady and Christy McDonald, they're in like Costa Rica right now, and I'm like, wow, that would be really cool to be where they're at right now. And then you have to look back and think, okay, they've been doing this for whatever 7 years, and I've maybe been doing this for a year and a half. They're probably in the state where they're looking at people that have been doing this for 20 years, thinking, wow, I'd love to be doing what they're doing, right? So we're always going to get caught up in this, I want to be doing what other people are doing, but it's just time in the game, and it only
Mhm.
gets better. So
Yeah, 100%. Completely agree. So that being said, then, what are some skills that you felt that you didn't have and that you had to learn? You realized it was an important skill that you had to learn to advance yourself in your entrepreneurial real estate journey.
yeah, well, for me, I like to treat our tenants really good. So I'm always like, yeah, we'll do this. Yeah, we'll do this. So one of my downfalls is always saying yes. So something that I've recently started to do that's helped a little bit is getting Taylor to do a little bit more communication with the tenants, because she can be a little more stern, and be more reasonable with things that we're doing to the property. So that's something that I've had to get used to. There's definitely things we've done to some of our properties that maybe weren't necessary, and in the beginning of a real estate journey, it's probably ideal to save up as much capital as you can and not spend more than you need to on some of these properties. However, we are holding them for a long time, so it's going to bring some sort of value.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other than that, I don't know. Like we've really just, anytime that we have some sort of issue, something that I talked to my business partner James quite a bit about is, for him and I, we don't really like to say things that we're doing poorly. If we understand that things are going poorly, we just fix it right away. It literally just goes back to me being stubborn. If I know something's not going right, it's getting fixed. We hired a property manager to help us with leasing some units. This was just like an in-house property manager that we hired on, and units weren't getting filled quick enough. So I just pivoted. I was like, I'm going to rent these units out. I can't take this. These units can't take a week to rent out. And I quickly took over. They were rented in like 24 hours.
Oh
So
yeah.
I quickly just pivot. If something's going wrong, I just pivot. I don't like wasting time. So
That's good though, because it is true. Like sometimes people will wait or give up, and it is important to, especially when you need to change, because I think that is almost the definition of being an entrepreneur, is you will always have to change and improve yourself if you want, your real estate or whatever your business, because it's the business part to continue and be successful.
yeah, for sure. Like where I was at maybe a year and a half ago, could I have done what I'm doing uh, right now? Probably not, but I've developed over time, right? I've systematically built myself up to take on more, to understand real estate more, to raise money better, right? We're always just developing ourselves. And it just really goes back to, we're always going to have some sort of issues, and we just got to solve them quicker than anybody else, right? If you can solve
Mhm.
issues faster than anybody else, you're going to progress faster than everybody else. That's just simple science. And anybody that's like a key player in this world, like that's how they go by. All right, it's like,
Mhm.
if there's an issue, we solve it, or I hire somebody to solve that issue for me. We don't sit
Yeah,
on that issue.
100%. Yeah, it has to be that way because, like you said, like if you let it go longer, the issue gets bigger. Solve the
Exactly.
problem now, or else probably just gets worse.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So then, oh, and then that's good though, because you said that, so you are willing to hire people. It's not like, let's say for the project management, not project management, sorry, the property manager, that you let them go was like they weren't doing their job. But are you then thinking to, you probably like hire a new one, and you were just mainly like let that person go, and I'll just quickly hire?
Yeah, so he's still around. He's still helping us with some things. It was just this. We had a lot of units under renovation. We had a lot of stuff on the go, and it was just one of those things that was sitting in my mind. I was sitting in my mind for a couple of days, and I was like, "Why aren't these units rented? I want this first and last month's rent, so I can." When you're renovating 5 units, it's like you just want to see some sort of money coming in, because all you feel
Mhm.
like is like money's just disappearing from thin air. Um, but even for any of the units that we've currently leased, I'm always, if my contractor's there, I'm letting them show the units. Also, two of our other guys that we have, like two of our handymen that work for us, one of the guys, Andrew, he always shows units for me. And then once I find like a suitable candidate that he had a good interaction with, and that they actually like the unit and they've got, good credit score, good job reference, everything like that, I'll just set up a Zoom call with them, 5 minutes, make sure they look presentable, they look like somebody that I want to rent to, and then we're done. But for me, it saves us a lot of time not renting all these units out.
Mhm. That's awesome. That's great. And you're like that, building your systems.
Yeah, I can
Um,
easily let go of things too, right? Like I'm not attached to doing everything. However, in the
mhm.
beginning stages, Taylor and I, we like to do as much as we possibly could just so we can understand what's going on. Um, yeah, because at the beginning we were working a lot of hours, whereas now I'm more in the mindset. It's like I did this so that I could feel more free. I could do more things that I actually enjoy doing. One of the things that I don't enjoy doing is renting out a unit, right? So I want to, is there anything that I can offload to somebody else? If the answer is yes, then it's going to happen.
That's great. That's really good. Yeah, because I think that's also sometimes people's downfall is getting stuck because they can do it themselves. Like they can always do it better and not being able to just try to find that right person or like, yeah, or, like releasing, I feel like releasing responsibilities is, I feel, one of the hardest things for lots of people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm trying to think more into my like what my time is best spent doing is probably finding deals and probably closing on deals. Other than that, it's all hourly stuff that I can pay somebody else to do, right? I could probably, well, I could pay somebody to find me deals. I could pay somebody to help me finance these deals, but then I wouldn't be doing it. Then I might be doing, I might be changing a toilet or I might be fixing some drywall, right?
Hmm.
I would still end up busying some of my time. So I'm just trying to look at, what's the best use of my time and just kind of going from there.
Yeah, that's great because that is like again like what you like and using your skills, right? Like if you enjoy it and that's what you're good at, then put more focus on it because like that your business will become always more successful when you're doing the things that you enjoy and that you're the best at.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we all kind of got into real estate because we had some sort of goal in mind, and you just
Oh, you went silent for some reason.
there.
Oh,
Yeah, like when you get into real estate and you start and you just get so busy and you're like your mind isn't even sure what to do. You're like, I have so much to do. I need to keep working. And sometimes you need to just step back and think, okay, like what was the whole purpose of, buying this rental property? Well, so that I could, spend more time with my family. But if you're not spending more time with your family and you're just buying all these rental properties, then what's the freaking purpose? You may as well just go work your 9 to 5 and, come home at night and actually have some free time to yourself.
100%. Yeah. So that being said, are you in the process of starting to build out processes so that you can hand it off or just I guess make your life easier? Like do you have systems? Have you started building systems in place?
Yeah, yeah. Like we have systems on how to, rent properties. We use all the same contractors every single time, so that's super easy. Like we don't bounce around with contractors. We use all the same guys every single time. Um, Other than that, I mean, not really. We're just kind of, going with the flow at this point.
That's good though. At least things are going well and whatever you guys are doing is working, right?
Yeah, like a lot of the people that work with us are very loyal to us. We treat everybody that helps us very well, and that reflects in, if I have things that happen at some of our rental properties, I have like 4 people that I can call and they're going to be there to help me out. Whereas, a lot of even seasoned investors that have been doing this for 5, 10 years, they're bouncing around different contractors. Some of them don't even have like a handyman that they can call and that's reliable. Whereas for me, when I got into this, I'm saying to myself, okay, look, we're an hour away from all these properties. We need to have people that we can rely on. And you just if you find the right person, you have to stick with them and you have to incentivize them and make them want to work for you. So
Hmm. Yeah. And like that's building the relationship, right? Because that loyalty comes is from the way you treat your employees or the contractors, whatever they are. It's so important to treat them well because exactly, you get that loyalty and you know that they'll be there for you to help you out with whatever you need.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's always very, I feel like that's like the number one thing, you know, building out the relationship. Because like let's say for with all the Serb and now we're on the next lockdown, um, yeah, it's very hard. For example, lots of people are having problems with keeping people employed because they rather go on Serb. Have you been having those problems?
With some of our tenants, you're thinking or saying, or?
No, no, your workers, like your employees, like
Oh, so yeah, so the two guys that work for us, they have their own companies. And then my parents have their own company too. And then, you know, like our HVAC guys and our plumbers and stuff, same thing. They're a company, but yeah, no, we haven't had that issue. Like the people that we have on our site are like very high quality people, and so I mean we haven't run into that yet.
hmm. Oh, okay, so they have their corporations, and I get so okay, so they're not like full on. They're not. They're subs then, which makes
Exactly.
sense.
Oh yes, yes. Sorry, yeah. Everybody is subcontracted through us. Yeah.
Yeah. Which actually, that's probably a good reason why they like stay working because I feel like when they're an employee and they're getting, you know, paid, because at least they decide how they get paid, right? So it's like if they want to get served, they're like, okay, I'm not getting paid this month and I pay myself, I don't know, next month once serve is done or something. Like I guess you have
Yeah.
higher chances of playing around with your money more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the government kind of screwed themselves with that, right? I mean, if you're making $700 a week and you have to go, you know, move your body all day, but you can make $500 sitting at home. I mean, that's a very good deal. It's it's almost better than not working. Well, actually, it is better than not working. It doesn't
It is
make
for
sense.
lots of people.
It's like
It's
just
so
handing out, you know, just free tickets to everybody. You know, thank you for agreeing with us. Here's your money.
thank you for doing the thing. Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's outrageous, but it's how our society runs, right? If the government wasn't there assisting everybody, you know, I think society would crumble. There would be a bunch of really rich people and a bunch of super super poor people. So at least with what's going on now, you know, you know, in the city that we invest in, it's crazy. We'll rent out a unit, and like half of the people that respond to the ad are on some sort of government assisted program. And you think to yourself, like, this is crazy. This is actually freaking crazy to think about that there's this many people that, you know, whatever, have something where they're unable to work or unable to provide some sort of income for their family. And then you get served, and then you're like, wow, okay, half of this town is on the government is paying for this. So
Yeah, it's very true. Actually, that's something also I noticed a lot because I've normally been in the GTA for investing, and now I have one outside. And that was like that my first time where like that majority of the people they're just like, oh, I have whatever. They all have some kind of assistance like disability assistance or whatever other assistance. And I was shocked at how many people have this and I was like, man, you can like with the social assistance, you can easily rent out this place and yeah, if you want to do video games all day, you're good to go.
yeah, exactly. No, it is crazy. It's yeah, it's I feel like it's so easy to achieve some sort of government assistance that a lot of people just go that route. I mean, it's same with like the child tax benefit, right? It's like if people are unemployed and they continue to have children, they have two babies, and they're like, wow, this is great. I'm making like this much money just for having kids. Like, let's keep them coming. And then they get locked in the system, right? And that's where obviously the government has, you know, likely failed on their end because, you know, you've got this single mom potentially that has 5 kids, you know, is making maybe $2,500 a month, but isn't there, you know, she's not providing a good, what would be the word? Like she's not there. There's no nothing being given back to society. It's just take, 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 take,
No
take.
incentive to work, so it's just like why
Yeah,
not be and
but
get my money.
For sure.
Yeah, it's true. Which I think at the same time, like let's say with just talking about serve, not even talking about the disabilities or the other insurance. I'm not sure of everything that there is there, but yeah, like I feel like serve is helping people get lazier, to be honest, because it's putting people on depressions and I find that it's going to be actually very hard to get people back to work when, the economy gets better because you're getting lazier. A lot of people are getting depressed. Like, I don't know if you heard, but um, antidepressant drugs are they're like running out of it, so they're portioning everyone, and like the people that used to just do it regularly, like now can't get as much because there's so many people on it. So it's just like we are destroying our people too.
Yeah, I know. It's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
It's mind-boggling. And even with this whole COVID thing, I mean, if you really think about it, we've given the government has had 10 months to fix this problem. And the only thing that they've done with COVID is they've made it actually worse. So it just goes to show that it's probably in like society's best interest to, not go off of everything the government's telling you. Because let's face it, we know that COVID, is only killing people who have underlying health issues. Obviously, it's same with like the flu. The flu does kill normal people that are very healthy, but the majority of people that are dying are, they have underlying health conditions. But the
Hmm.
government's saying, you can't go outside now, you can't do this, you can't do that. And, we hope you're okay sitting inside for the next 28 days, doing absolutely nothing. You can't, like, I don't know if you heard about the people in Quebec that were walking and the guy was pretending to be a dog. And it's like,
Oh,
this is this is the lengths that people are going just to get some damn exercise. Like, this is outrageous. But I can, here in my little town that we live in, I can walk a block. I can go to the beer store. I can grab a 24 pack of beer. Not a big deal. But if I'm on a construction site, I have to wait 24 hours for a freaking 2x4. Well, there's a problem there. And the government's like, well, I don't understand why everybody's depressed. Well, because you're not looking, why not? Let's shift our mindset and say, hey guys, during this lockdown, you guys should be exercising. You guys should be getting outside, getting some vitamin D from the sun. Let's drink lots of water. Ideally, let's not go to fast food places every single week. Things like this, but they're like, no, stay inside. We have this all under control, and we're supposed to believe that they do. Meanwhile, they've had all this time to fix it, and nothing's happened. So
yeah,
it's
it's
crazy.
crazy. It is very crazy, and it's just yeah, and to be honest, sometimes you wonder, like, do you even look at the research? Because, for example, it's known that people need a purpose, right? Like, even when we talk about, for example, we are retiring, or like now it's turned into retiring from the 9 to 5 because like that, like when people say they retire, it's more like I've retired from what I do not want to do, and now I'm
Exactly.
getting what I want to do. Because a lot of I feel like the older generation talks about like if I stopped working, I would die. And I'm
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me? I'm like, if I stopped working, I would be finding myself, which is what happens, right? When you get so much money, you're just like, what do I like? What am I interested in? You start questioning yourself, and because like that, we need our purpose. Like we need to be out doing things, but now it's like we're doing it for ourselves. Like, what is it that I enjoy doing?
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things that influenced me to really propel our real estate portfolio so that I could leave my day job. Was I would go to work every day. I'd put in like as much effort as I possibly could. Like I was still stubborn out like my day. Oh shoot, sorry. Just um
That's okay.
I don't know why that happened. But yeah, I was super stubborn at my day job too. Like I wanted all these jobs to get done like as fast as possible, as like clean as possible. And like I was making a lot of money for our company, but I would always go into work and there would always be something that our boss would be complaining about, and it was never enough. And then when I started hiring people like to do work on some of our construction sites, I was always like, I'd come in, I'd say, guys, like Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I'd buy people lunches, I'd buy people coffee, I'd buy them tools, things like that. And it's crazy how much people appreciate just knowing that you actually care. And that's the biggest reason why I wanted to leave my day job. I just felt like I was just another number. I was replaceable, which I was, right? When I left, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was, all right, let's put up another Indeed ad and let's get the next guy. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So do you have any other stories about problems like that? Like this is going back to skills that you didn't have, but a specific story of like that, a problem that came up and that was like a big learning experience for you that you had to solve and you learned from it?
yeah. We bought an off-market property this year, and the reason the seller wanted to sell the property was because one of the tenants wasn't paying. He didn't pay for like 8 months. This tenant absolutely hated the landlord. Like it was hilarious how much he hated the landlord. And so when we bought the property, I'd never met this tenant. I didn't even see his unit. Nothing. All I knew is he had a nice car. He was an older guy, and he just hadn't paid rent. So the first day that we purchased the property, I went over there. I knocked on his door. I introduced myself. I said, "Look, like I'm here to solve any and all of your issues. I want to make this the most comfortable building that you've ever lived in. We're new landlords here in town, and we're trying to change the way that people manage properties. So if you have any concerns, here's my number." We always drop off like a letter, just how to reach us, how to pay rent, all that sort of stuff. And he really appreciated that. So he's like, "Can you come back tomorrow, actually?" And I was like, "Yeah." I think we purchased the property on the 2nd of the month. So the way that we structured it, he was supposed to pay us rent instead of paying the old landlord. And then we just gave him, I think we gave him like $100 kickback on closing or something to like offset all the rents. And I said, "Yeah." And then he says, "Because I'm going to pay you 2 months rent tomorrow, if that's all right with you." And I said, "Sure." I said, "Not a problem." So then I went back there the next day. And then I went inside his unit. We sat at his kitchen table and I was just talking to him. And he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "Me and the old landlord didn't get along that well." He's like, "My fireplace hasn't worked," which is like the main heating source of the unit. It was like it's a gas fireplace.
Yeah.
And he's like, "And I haven't had a fridge for the longest time." He's like, "All I have is this little bar fridge." And he's like, "I can only buy food for like 2 days." And he's like, "A lot of times my food goes bad." And so then Taylor was like, "Do you have time right now?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then she said, "Well, let's go to Tepperman's and let's find you a fridge." So we bought him like a brand new fridge. It was like $700, and he's paid us rent ever since. So I think what I learned from there is if you actually just treat people with some sort of respect and you give them, you treat them like a human being, they're going to treat you like a human being. But as soon as you start treating people like, they're worthless and all they are is a number to you, similar to how a lot of us felt, I think, with our day job, people, they're not gonna give you the respect that you want back. And in real estate, rent's it's the biggest, most important thing with your business. If there's no rent, there's no business, right? I mean, unless you're banking on appreciation, and if it's appreciating that much year over year, there's no business. Like we all rely on getting rent every single month. So I think that was a really big learning experience for us, and we kind of push that forward with all of the tenants that we've taken on that have had issues prior to us purchasing the building. We always just set the standard right up front. We say, "Look, like we want to solve your issues. If there are issues, they're going to be taken care of like ASAP. There's no I like if there's something wrong, it's getting fixed tomorrow. It might even get fixed. Like we had a tenant, his hot water tank stopped working. There was somebody there in 5 minutes." And he was like, and then actually it was funny because I had to re-rent his unit out. He had some family issues. And it was a 1-bedroom unit. It's arguably the highest 1-bedroom rent in all of Chatham. It's for sure. And the reason being is when I was showing people this unit, my tenant was like, "These guys are the best landlords ever." And he was like, "One time my hot water heater stopped working and they were there in 5 minutes." He's like, "I couldn't believe it." So it's like, if you just go that extra step, you're gonna fix it. Why not just fix it right away instead of pissing people off and giving them a reason to hate you? So yeah, that's definitely a big lesson that I've learned.
Yeah, that's great. And that is, yeah, a very big lesson that everyone should learn because yeah, sometimes people, and I think this is not thinking like a business, like, oh, I just want to save money and I don't want to, for example, get that fridge because that's like $700 out of pocket. But it's like, are you looking at the bigger picture? Like
Yeah,
you,
you just lost
you
$7,000 because of that mistake.
how much?
Well, he lost, I think it was 8 or 10 months of rent, so he likely lost $7,000 to $8,000 in rent because he didn't spend $700 or $800 on a fridge.
Wow.
So it's crazy.
Yeah, understanding the priorities and like that's I think which another thing I was gonna say that you're talking about is basically communication, right? Because something obviously must have happened, like maybe it was the money thing, but it also could have been just, bad communication and then like it just kept on going downhill and then it just got worse and worse and worse that sometimes it's like regroup, think about it, let go of the grudge because maybe it's a grudge that the landlord had, and then just kind of like because it's all about like you said like listening, right? Because maybe people have their perceived notions of things and don't actually listen to the person, and like that something so simple like all he needed was his fridge and the fireplace fixed and things would have been better,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, and if people aren't paying rent, you have to ask them why. Is it, oh, I only have half a month's rent right now. I can't give you the full rent until the second week of the month. Well, can you pay me half a month right now? You know, and the reason I want you to pay me half a month's rent is because we are relying on this rent, right? We still have bills too. So, and we're willing to work with you, and just yeah, being communicative with people goes a long way. Crazy.
100%. And listening like that. Like all you have to do is listen, and sometimes even just listening will solve the problem. Maybe it's just like you're way overstressed and have so many other things in mind, and like it's clouding other things that could be such a quick solution.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I mean, and yeah, like there's been a couple other things too, like there was a situation once where we had this tenant move in and, we had said like, he had asked us for something. We said, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that and we'll get to it. And it was in the peak of when everything was going on and we kind of just forgot about it. And then one day we just get this crazy email and it's like, you guys told me you guys are so good and all of this stuff and this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And then so what Taylor did is she just didn't respond for a day, and then she called the tenant. Right? We try not to tell, like we really like calling the tenants because then you can, there's none of this trigger finger. I can say what I want because we're texting. So you call them and we're just outlining all these issues and we said, okay, like out of these 8 issues that you've told us, there's only one thing that we knew about, and that wasn't even an issue. That was more of a want. So like, if things do come up, we want to fix them. Unfortunately, we can't do that thing that we told you that we were going to do because all of our guys are busy and we can't just afford to just pay anybody and everybody to do it. And we'll get to it. But, yeah, like these other things that you said, these are issues. And then we were there that day and fixed them. But we just explained to them, like, look, like we don't just at our disposal have 100 people that are just sitting on their ass at home waiting for Jeremy or Taylor to call them to come, do all these magical things for you that you just want because you just want it, right? But yeah, if there's something that needs to be fixed, we'll be there and we'll fix it. And ever since then, the relationship with that tenant has been like outstanding, right? But a lot of landlords could have went back and said like, well, screw this guy wants to be an asshole, I'm going to throw it right back to them. And that's the wrong way to go about it, for sure.
100%. Being able to mitigate and not get emotional about it and still look at it in their view, because it's what kind of like what you guys were doing with that. You were, not continuing the drama, and it was just like, okay, let's figure out the actual issue, like what is going on, right? Like there is obviously like, even if, for example, in that list, maybe you got a text or an email and missed it, you know, and maybe it was there, but at least it's like, you know, okay, so we got this list and clearly we dropped the ball on something. Let's move forward, right? Because I think a lot of people will also, let's say, get emotional and completely block themselves. Like, yeah, this person's an asshole, and that's done. And you're just like, did that solve the issue though?
Yeah. And like another thing too that we use too now, like we use Buildium to help kind of track things that are going wrong. So for us too, you know, if a tenant says like, hey, this is wrong with the property, you got to go to Buildium, you need to fill it out. Because if you're texting me and I tell you I'm going to do it next Friday, I'm going to forget. But if you put it on Buildium and I put on there that I'm going to be there next Friday and I forget, well, that's my fault. But if you're texting me and you're just hoping that I remember, that's your fault. And what that's done too is that's actually helped, you know, a lot. Sometimes for tenants, it's like, oh, I don't want to open up this app and, you know, fill out this report for my light bulb that needs to get fixed. I'm just going to change it on my own, right? So, I mean, it has that upside as well too. But, you know, yeah, we're all busy people. Everybody is, and we forget things. So it's just, you know, yeah.
But it's very good because like that, you don't let it get to you, and it's still again just about solving the problem that it is right now. Like, okay, if there was a mistake, whatever, maybe there wasn't, but it doesn't matter. You know, it's like let's just figure it out now, which is something very important to like that build and maintain that relationship.
Yeah, for sure. No, I know. And even just and if you do make a mistake, just tell them like, hey, look, I forgot. I can't remember, but I'm doing something tomorrow for a tenant, and I just totally forgot. Oh, I have to add a baseboard heater. And I messaged her the other day and I said, hey, you asked me like 2 weeks ago to put in this baseboard heater and I forgot. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I just forgot. And she's like, oh, not a problem, Jeremy. Like, I really appreciate you like following up with me. And like, you know, like the tenants like can appreciate this stuff. You know, we're all humans. We're all gonna make mistakes. And that just goes back to what I said, right? Even if you're trying your best, there's still gonna be some asshole that pisses you off. There's still gonna be that toilet that breaks. Like there's, you know, the contractor's gonna walk off the job site or whatever, right? There's no matter what you do, you're gonna face some sort of issues, and you just have to combat it with like not being emotional and thinking like, okay, this is the situation I'm in now. How can I best solve it? So
100%. And I think also just like that being honest. Like honesty also goes a long way because that's very true. Like I've even told some people, I'm so super busy this week, and I just need to like message me if you don't hear from me from this date because maybe I forgot.
yeah. I've been doing that too.
Yeah,
It's like if you don't hear back from me from Wednesday, you need to follow up because it's like I'm sorry. Like, and honestly, I was talking to somebody last year, and they messaged me, and it was like a week after, and it was stupid of me, but I responded back to them. I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry for not getting back to you. I've been busy, and their response was, it's all good, but FYI, everybody's busy. And that's where it like clicked in my head. I'm like, that makes so much sense. I'm like, there's people like, if you look at like Jeff Bezos or something, like these people are busy too, but they're still, you know, they're still able to do all these things every single day. So it's like, I shouldn't use that as an excuse. I should maybe just say like, hey, look, I got busy. This is my fault. I apologize. Like, can we continue this conversation now? But once he said that to me, I was like, I'm going to stop making that. I'm going to try my best to stop making that like, sorry, I'm busy. You know, you probably weren't that busy kind of mentality where it's like, you know, everybody's caught up in their own stuff every day.
yeah, very true. That's awesome. So let's do the very last question, and that is, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Do you have any plans, money-wise, real estate-wise, more time-wise?
Yeah. So I don't know if like 5 years, but I know in like definitely in the next year, we're going to have a couple apartment buildings. I really, really, really want to buy a vacation home in Costa Rica. That's been something that's been on my mind for really like probably the last 6 months. So I really want to do that. I wouldn't mind getting into some more private lending in the next year. You know, especially with the way the market's going, I think there's going to be a lot of people that want to get into real estate, but maybe need to borrow private funds to do that, with like for renovations, things like that. So I'd like to put myself in a situation where I can provide assistance that way and be a little more passive. But yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, we want to start a family eventually, so that's one of the big things for us too. But definitely, you know, we want to start acquiring some more bigger buildings, anything 12 units and up, and you know, definitely vacation more and have that vacation home.
That's so true. That's good. That's awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. It was awesome to hear your story and get to know you more, and hope that everything, and I know it will, because like that you have the drive, everything will be going, improving as much as you want it to.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Deanna. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. Nice to
No
have
problem.
everyone. Bye
See
guys.
ya.
Bye everyone.